Welcome to Meeting of the Moms, a place to talk about all the things. I'm Amy Rasmussen. I'm a teacher by profession, a wife and mother by choice, an optimist by nature, and happy by design. I'm here with my good friend Lorna, who I call one of my greatest cheerleaders.
Hi, I'm Lorna Adams. I'm a wife, mom, and certified life coach. I strive to embrace and enjoy each new phase of life. Here at Moms, we believe the world is wide open to all of us and that we have unlimited potential. We're so glad you're here.
I just wanted to tell you, Lorna, I am grateful that you gave me the idea the other day about wearing 2 pairs of socks. And so I'm also grateful to your hubby, to Bart, because he's the one who mentioned it to you about something unrelated to me. Oh, for everybody else, I was complaining about some sore spots on my feet as I've been running. And I was telling Lorna that. And she said, oh, try wearing 2 pairs of socks. So I am grateful you gave me the idea, and I'm celebrating that I tried it out on Monday. And my feet didn't feel quite as rubbed raw in the places that they usually feel rubbed raw. And then it was fun because we have recently been recording and talking about gratitude and celebrations. Then I also had this thought that I am so grateful that my body is healing because I've been dealing with plantar fasciitis for several years now. And I am back up to walk running 3 miles and my feet are doing okay and all the things. So I even got to have a little kind of baby gratitude cascade effect as I was thinking about wearing my 2 pairs of socks. But thank you for the idea. And
Awesome.
I'm proud of myself for trying it.
So good. And I'm glad it helped. It's always fun to hear little tips and try them. And they're like, yeah, that was really great.
Yeah.
I'm going to celebrate that I went back to doing the dinner dishes last night. Sometimes if I walk away from the kitchen, then it's harder for me to go back. So
yes.
My son was going to go somewhere at a certain time. And so I knew our evening was a little bit limited with what we were going to do. And so I did not want to jump up from the table and work on dishes right that second. And I really do. I'm going to tell everyone, full disclosure, I have never been the kind of person that gets up after dinner and starts on dishes right away. Like if that happens, it's more of a short little spurt of time when I'm doing that. I like the idea. I think people that do that are amazing. That just has not been me typically. So,
yeah.
But yesterday we had dinner, we did some talking, and then we've been loving to read for like 10 minutes after dinner. And so we did that. And then we went back into the kitchen. I think my son had probably left at that point, and my husband put away dinner and I was working on dishes. And so I got those done. So that is my celebration, is I got back in the kitchen and made the dishes happen. But paired with that, I'll do the gratitude part is I am so grateful that my husband does help put away dinner. And a lot of the times he does dishes too. Like we're at a point in time now that it probably is 50-50 on the dishes, who does the dishes, my husband or me, 95% of the time. Once in a while my son, or if my daughters are here, once in a while they will. But so anyway, I'm grateful that my husband will help share that load with me.
Right. No, that's awesome. That's fantastic. So to dive into our topic today, recently we posted something about the empty nest phase coming upon you. And at the very end, we mentioned B- work. And so today we want to dive into stuff that has to do with B- work. So Lorna, where are we going to go with that?
I love the idea of B- work, in that it can be so helpful when we are trying to do things and we're holding on to this. It has to be perfect for me to do it. There have been numerous times that I've wanted to post something on social media and I am editing it and re-editing it and re-editing it. And it gets to the point that I'm like, I don't even want to post this. I don't even like what it is because I'm wanting it to be so perfect. So I have absolutely been there a lot of times. So that posting is just one example. Another example is like taking food to friends. Like if somebody's sick, I want it to be, or had a baby or something, right? I want it to be so perfect that it ends up being way more stressful than it needs to be. So as I've adopted this B- work, it has made my life so much better. It does not have to feel so heavy. I am way more apt to post now because I'm not overanalyzing. And I am, in my mind, I'm saying B- work is enough. In school, when a student gets B- on an assignment, it is passing. They put the effort in typically, like they've done the work, and it doesn't mean it's 100% perfect. It's B minus. It's still absolutely passing. It's still absolutely acceptable.
And it's not even just passing. B minus is actually above average. So it's actually like still intentional work to make something good.
I just love that point. And so as I have let go of the perfectionism, and I will admit there have been, even you and I, Amy, have just had a conversation when it was my realization I'm holding on to some perfectionism in this area. I'm not saying I've perfected it in every single area of my life, but I've adopted it in a lot of areas.
So wait, we're not perfect at B minus work. We're going for like B minus in striving for B minus work. Okay, keep going. Yes.
Great point. So I think that as I've adopted that philosophy, it has made things so much easier. I'm able to accomplish things more. It doesn't feel as heavy.
I have a specific example, and it's not even B minus work in the end, but it goes along with this whole idea. I recently wanted to read in the Book of Mormon, and I paired it with something that I do every single day, and then I printed off a tiny calendar. And really, it wasn't so much I wanted to read every single day, because that's perfect. That's like you miss one day and you miss the boat. So I actually went into it with like, I wonder how many days I could do this in a time period. And so I'm going to show you my calendar and you can see how it went. So I started this in June 2023. And the first week is when I decided to do it. So those of you who are on YouTube, you can see my actual calendar. And it was like around the 5th of June. Well, I had no reading that whole week. I had no reading the whole next week. I had no reading a third week in a row. And the last week of June, I read 4 out of the 6 days in June, because the last day of that week was in July. And so my beginning was not even B minus. It wasn't even D minus, but it was still just there in my brain. So then in July, I actually got every single day. In August, I got every single day. In September, I missed, I think, 1 day. And I did percentages. So in September, I got 96.7%. October, 96.8%. November, 100%. December, 96.7% again. And it was just interesting as I was curious to see what happened. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. I'm just going to keep going for 2024 and see what happens. And so what you can see on my 2024 is I actually read in the Book of Mormon every single day for the year of 2024. And when I looked back at that, I was like, oh my goodness, I had a perfect year of reading every day. And it wasn't steady. It wasn't a certain amount of time. It was, I read one word, it was reading. There wasn't any like big plan other than just reading. And so then this year, I entered the year and I was like, I am not prepared to want to have this perfection of, now I have to keep it at 100% all the time. And so January was fine. I got all the days. But then in February, I missed a day on the 8th. And I actually had this sense of, okay, good. I missed my first day. That's a sense of relief. And I'm going to miss more days this year. I know that I will. It will just happen. And it's fine. But it's interesting how we can step into the perfectionism because something has gone so well for us sometimes. So for me, I just was relieved when I could step out of that. And the goal isn't 100%. The goal is to see how I do and just be curious about that.
Didn't you even go through month by month just recently to see, and even in 2025, you still are like at 99%?
Oh, yes.
Even though you've missed a time or two here and there.
You're right. So yes, let me tell you guys about that. So I went through and for each month I put where my percentage was at. And so then I was like, I wonder for the whole year what my percentage is at. And so I did it all because I'm kind of dorky with math. I first started with just doing the percentages and averaging those out. And I was at, I think, 99.7%. I'm like, oh, okay then. I guess that's a pretty high percentage. Sweet. And then I'm like, okay, but what would it be if I actually counted the actual days for each month? And so I went through and did that. And I was like, okay, so if I do that, then I'm at 99.6%, is I think how it worked out. I'm like, okay, well, that's just great. And I love that something I've wanted to do, which is to be involved in this kind of reading on a regular basis by being just curious about it and being okay with how I showed up actually led to a peaceful high performance. Now, it doesn't always. Sometimes it leads to a peaceful lower performance, like the June when I first started and I got 4 days out of that June. But I think that the peace and the excitement of like, yeah, how am I doing? And then being happy with what I've done and the effort I've made is a huge thing. Anyway, that's the first thing I wanted to share, that being comfortable in not getting 100% and not even making 100% my goal, but just making it a goal to track it, helped me step away from any kind of the perfectionist stuff.
And that's what I love about the tracking. You were able to see some great things because you had tracked it. And I think
Yes.
you're great at tracking things. I'm not always great at tracking things, but
I geek out a little bit at it, yes.
which is so fun.
Yep.
But it is fun to see how it really 99%
I know.
higher, like more than 99.0. It's like 99.6%.
I know. Right.
That's amazing, right? So
Yeah.
super cool celebration. Oh, for sure,
Yep.
celebrating that. And just awesome about it doesn't have to be perfect to still be doing good. Like you're doing what you wanted to, you're achieving your goal. That's awesome.
Yep.
I think that's super cool.
Yep.
It makes me think,
one more thing, but clear back in that June of 2023 when I started, and I think this is really important. I also had the celebratory moment when I got the first 4 days marked. And I was like, okay, that was a 3-week on-ramp to this particular wanting to do it. It's fine. And I think sometimes we don't allow ourselves to have an on-ramp. We just expect ourselves to like, I decided I want to do it and I'm going to do it. And we hear a lot about that too, in just personal development kind of stuff, where you just decide and then you go hit it. And I'm like, well, I'm just human over here in my house, so I need a 3-week on-ramp sometimes. And so then even to be able to celebrate when we have something like the week of the 4 days, or even celebrate the other weeks where it's like, okay, yeah, I missed a day this week, or I missed a day this month, but I got 29 out of 30 days, or I got 6 out of 7 days.
yeah,
I'm just going to go with celebrating what I did. So yeah,
yeah,
exactly. It's just looking for opportunities to celebrate really helps feed this too.
yeah.
Okay, sorry,
Well,
you were
and
going to say something.
there have been some things that I've consciously decided I'm only doing this 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And if I can do it 5 days a week, I'll feel really great about it. Or even
Yep.
I'm going to do 3 days a week and I'm going to leave it open. Like I'm going to try and find days when I really can do this. But if I can
Yep.
do 3 days a week, I can feel successful. So
Yeah.
I think it's just fun to be able to set a plan, try to be successful at it, and then still celebrate whatever you do, regardless of it being perfect or not. Because I think
Yep.
our brain also needs some of that positivity to help fuel us to keep moving forward.
Right. Motivation.
Yes, where if we don't do that and we beat ourselves up like, oh, missed a day and I've gotten 4 days and now I missed a day, I think it's easy to be like, never mind, I'm not going to do it. I guess it's not for me. But that doesn't have to be the case. It can be, I still want to do this. Yeah, I did 4 days, I missed one, and I want to keep going. And so you just pick back up. I know another one of your phrases that you use is get back on the wagon.
All the time.
And I love that idea. And maybe you can explain it some more, but I love the idea of it doesn't mean you just give up and you're done. It means what, Amy? Tell us more about your get back on the wagon.
Well, I think get back on the wagon actually refers to like being sober and making a mistake and then needing to get back on the wagon. I actually think that's where it comes from. I don't know. So for me, getting back on the wagon just means like any of the habits that I am wanting to do or good things or whatever, I know that it's going to fall apart at some point because, like I said, over here at my house, I'm just being human. And so I have tried to get really good at getting back on the wagon. And I worry a lot less about falling off the wagon. Like it happens, okay? But I'm trying to get better at just getting back on the wagon. And so getting back on the wagon means like it's Monday again. So guess what's awesome? I get to just try again this week to see about those things I want to do this week. Or it's a new day. I can try again today to do some of those things that I want to do. So I don't sit in the cesspool of what I didn't do. I'm aware of it. And what I let that be is instead of a cesspool, I let it to be like one of those jump boards, like in gymnastics in the Olympics to get on the horse or whatever. It's like
the
okay,
springboard.
Cool. That failure is actually a jump board to help me know it's time to get back on the wagon. And for a long time, Monday was my day to get back on the wagon for anything. And so I started loving Mondays because I'm like, cool, getting back on the wagon today. So hopefully that's kind of a an explanation of how I use it.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's so good. Going back to that, like the tracking of it, I am doing Duolingo, and the
Yay.
last couple nights I have gotten a notification and I'm not even noticing it, but it's saying if you miss, you're going to lose your 100 and whatever day streak.
Yeah.
And I know one of the days I ended up missing, I missed the notification. I get so many notifications from Duolingo, it doesn't even resonate anymore. Anyway, but I do love that even on Duolingo, they have those little freeze streaks or freeze, whatever.
Yeah, you can freeze the streak so it kind of keeps your streak. They still count it, right?
Yeah. And so it is fun that some apps have allowed for that, yeah, we're human. We're going to have some mishaps, some falling off the wagon or whatever, and they are allowing for that. So that's kind of a fun thing.
Yep. What's interesting to me, as I have interacted with a couple different apps, Duolingo is one of them, and then another one that doesn't do that. It keeps resetting. I'm like, it is really interesting to me to notice about myself how the one that keeps resetting feels very defeating to me, because somehow the focus becomes that cesspool of having fallen off the wagon. And with Duolingo, I've loved it because I'm like, all right, I even used 2 freezes this week or whatever, but I actually feel propelled to keep going with the thing that I'm wanting to do. And so I was even thinking as I set goals for things that maybe I actually do want to do every day, or I want to do 5 days a week, or whatever number of days I want to do it, I've thought, what if I also give myself a certain number of freezes? Like I just take that thing from Duolingo and I can also give that to myself, because it allows for us to accept our humanness and the fact that we are imperfect and that it's totally okay. And then I keep going rather than feeling like I just don't want to do it. So the app, I no longer use that app in the same way that felt so defeatist to me. Because I'm like, that's actually not helping me. If that helps someone, awesome. But it doesn't help me. And so I've actually found a different way to use that particular app because I still want to use it for something.
Well, and I think that's so good that you see that in yourself. Like, this isn't helpful. I'm going to adjust and not use it that same way. Well, and even as you were talking, I was thinking you could almost even create your own chart and decide, I want to do 5 out of 7 days on that app. Cool. This is me doing my 5 out of 7 or whatever.
Do my little baby calendar again, right?
Yeah.
Just little, low tech. Yep.
Yeah. But the B- work is totally fine, because I'm still, even on Duolingo, if I miss, and it does give us the streaks, the freezes, but I'm still, even if I'm on there 5 days a week, I am further ahead than I was not being on there any days, like being on there 0 days, right? And so it is worth it. It's totally worth it to keep going.
Well, that's cool too with Duolingo specifically, because you can go, it tracks it for you. So you don't have to track it, which for you, you're like, tracking's not just kind of my thing. It takes a little more effort for me or whatever. But you can then go back and look and you could see, wow, in October, I actually got all the weeks, 5 days. Sweet. And so you can use it differently. You can create how the tool could potentially help you do what you want to do. Yeah, that's cool.
And maybe we've mentioned this in the past, but I have used my activity tracker on my phone and on my Apple Watch. And that has been interesting too, because that same type of thing that you're saying, I can go back and look at my averages, how many days I did close a ring or didn't close a ring. And that's been fun too, because I've been able to let it just be averages. And I have a goal of where I have been, like the amount of steps I've taken on average in a month. And I have a goal to have it be a little bit different. And so I can go back and check it and see how I'm doing if I'm working on, meeting my goal. So that has been fun to see that there are some things kind of built in that don't have to be defeating.
Yep. I love that with Strava. So I use the free Strava, and it has been fun at the year end where it just says you moved this many days of the year. I'm like, that is pretty awesome. That is amazing. And again, it's like, I'm not necessarily in that every day, because that's a routine I have set really well to exercise with you and my other friend. But to have it just shown like that is awesome. And I love on the phone, however it tracks anytime the phone's on me. So it's going to track even more than Strava tracks. And to be able to see what those tiny little things are doing as far as building up this amazing thing, and what the imperfectness of it is doing for me is really incredible. And I think it kind of relates to my celebration that I didn't even set a goal to walk the 3 miles again. It was just like my goal was to go to the track and listen to my body. This is like 3.5 years into dealing with this plantar fasciitis stuff. So I haven't been able to run like I have in the past. And by doing that, now I have finally gotten to, I did my run walk like my 3 miles, and now I've done it several times and my legs are feeling good, but I really had to back off of the expectation of doing it a certain way. And so it's amazing what all those tiny little things, invisibly almost, have finally come to like the sunshine coming out for me in that particular.
So good. So good. I think I like the idea, like with the B minus work, is that I'm still becoming, I'm still improving. And that's what's exciting, is I don't have to be perfect. And I think just the idea of feeling like I have to be perfect, that feels heavy and daunting. And actually, when I'm holding on to that concept, it is more immobilizing. I am not showing up the way I want to show up when I'm realizing I didn't do that right. I totally messed up in that. I'm actually trying to hide. I'm trying not to show up more because it feels so crummy. And so I think just the idea of feeling like we have to be perfect isn't motivating and it isn't helpful. And so we're giving you listeners permission to throw that out. And then just like that quote that's behind my head, life doesn't have to be perfect to be perfect. But there can still be really great things and really great progress being made as we keep moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I think two things kind of come into this perfectionistic mindset that we sometimes have. One is the idea that we will arrive. And we recently posted another episode about the fact, you guys, we're never done and we never arrive. And the good news is that we can just set that down. We can stop waiting to be happy until we arrive or until we're done. We don't have to worry about it. We get to just be a creative work in process. And so by setting down this idea that at some point we're going to arrive at flawless whatever, it just frees us to be able to just enjoy the progress and the growth and the learning, and for the learning's sake, not because it's going to get us to some arrival point. So I think that's one piece. And I think a second piece that's really closely tied to the arrival point is impatience. And so I would say, again, back to my whole running thing with my celebration, there were times during that whole time of me trying to heal and doing the work to heal and stuff, that because of my impatience to want to be back to running it like I used to be able to run, I actually made my healing take longer. Because I'm like, okay, it's feeling okay, so I think I can probably go do this thing. Well, I would do it, and then I'm like, apparently not. Apparently I can't do that yet, or whatever. And so being able to take away the whole arrival thing, which is interesting when we talk about goals, and sometime we'll talk about that, maybe today, maybe not, but to take away the whole arrival thing and also to put patience in there and to foster patience, that can actually sometimes help us a lot in being able to then accept B minus work. Because it's really hard to be impatient with ourselves all the time, and impatient that we're not at some different level, even if we're not in the arrival thing, but just like we just want to be somewhere different than here.
Yeah.
Then it's that impatience just gets in our way. So if we can work on patience and acceptance, then that's going to help us also be okay with B minus work and with growth and with learning.
Totally. Well, and with the patience, it makes me think about judgment. We judge ourselves thinking we should be there, just like you were saying. So we can be impatient and add this judgment to it should be different. And the judgment feels so heavy as well. And so for me, I like to encourage some compassion. Why am I not there? And give myself some compassion for it. Makes sense I'm not there. Maybe I'm sick this week. Maybe, and I was last week, right? Right. So Duolingo is because I was sick. Not necessarily. I could have still done it if I was sick. But just giving myself some compassion, and then also that curiosity. Okay, so now why did it not work out? And what can I learn from this? How do I want to fix this? And just sit in those places rather than in the judgment and the impatience.
Right. And can we even just dive in for just a second to this Duolingo thing and being sick? You just said, well, I could have done Duolingo even though I was sick. It's not like I was so sick I could not go exercise or whatever, right? And I think in those moments, sometimes it just looks like, okay, so I was sick and I just plain didn't feel like doing it.
Yeah.
And it's not that we're trying to say, like, let's make up excuses all the time, but it is a reason. So it's not an excuse, but it is a reason. And then with your curiosity, you can ask a lot of questions like, am I okay with that? Am I okay to just let myself rest when I'm sick? And I just simply don't feel like it. I'm not saying no forever, but I am saying it's okay to let me rest, even in this thing that technically I could do. I'm not feeling so sick I couldn't do like 3 minutes of Duolingo, but allowing myself to rest or allowing myself to notice I didn't do it and be okay with that, because obviously my body and my brain and everything just needed it off my plate for a bit.
Yeah.
Fine, right? And we get
Yeah.
to decide and choose if that's how we accept that.
Well, and I like the idea of it doesn't have to be a problem.
Right.
I think our brain wants to be like, yeah, it's a problem and you did it wrong and look, you messed up. It's fine. It doesn't have to be a problem. I miss some Duolingo. Okay, cool. Now what? What do I want to do about it?
Yep.
And I just like that idea too, is it doesn't have to be a problem.
I think that idea of that these things don't have to be a problem. Sometimes we hear the word problem and we absolutely go to, well, that's a negative thing. I do think we're built to be problem solvers. Just like you said, what problem, if you will, do I want to choose to have my brain go to work on? Do I want it to go to work on, I got to solve the problem of I'm such a loser, I can't do Duolingo when I'm sick? I mean, who wants to sit again in that cesspool? Or do I want to put my brain to work on the problem, if you will, of like, well, how do I want to frame this? How do I want to see it? Does it have to be a problem like cesspool problem? Or is it just like, okay, just a problem of acceptance? So I do think I think our brain also likes to problem solve.
Yes, for sure.
And we can decide which path that to take. So
Yeah.
I love that you said this doesn't have to be a problem. And just that idea that I guess we get to choose what kind of problem it is. That like the inspiring kind that's fun to work on, or the kind that's like, no, this is a problem because now I am worthless.
Yeah. It's defeating. Yeah.
Totally.
I agree.
I love that idea. I think all of this comes back to the idea of learning how to be comfortable in our imperfection. And it doesn't mean we don't try and learn and grow. It doesn't mean we never progress. It just means that we just are. We just are imperfect. And when you come to my house and visit, you're going to find that humans live here. And so the floor might not be as clean as it was some other time you came to visit. Or I just had visitors and I was like, you know what? You can totally come and spend the night for what you want to do tomorrow, but I'm not really in a position to be making everybody food. And they're like, that's fine. We weren't expecting it anyway. We just wanted a floor. So I think that's a phrase that works for me, and everyone has different phrases, but to be able to say, I'm just comfortable in my imperfection, even as I'm learning and growing.
Yeah. And that I don't have to be any different. I don't have to be like somebody else who we think is perfect because we're seeing this little sliver of their life.
Yep.
Don't have to be like that, and that we can just embrace who we are and where we are at this point, and know that there is still more growth to be had, and we can get there if we choose to.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming to Meeting of the Moms. We hope it made your load a little lighter. We'd love to hear what's on your mind. Send your celebrations, takeaways, and suggestions for future topics to momswithamyandlorna@gmail.com.
If you enjoyed the show, please like, share, and subscribe. If this isn't the right fit for you, we wish you well on your journey. Until next time, I'm Lorna Adams.
And I'm Amy Rasmussen. See you next week at Moms.